Told you I blow, now you see it to believe it. My head gassed up, man, I'm so conceited. Nigga, you ain't never gonna see me in the hood. Motherfuck that shit, nigga, I'm too good. Don't tell niggas 50's bougie, don't buy CDs and don't go see his movies. He don't act like he used to in juvie. He was on that medication and that nigga did loony. Can it be? I've been away too long. Way too long.
Can it be I stayed away too long?
I've been away, man.
Did I leave your mind when I was gone?
Did you forget me?
Action News Network is an Aboriginal American media network. As such, we are protected under the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, or DRIP, Articles 8, 14, and 16. Action News Network is allowed to provide Aboriginal news and media content on non-Indigenous media platforms free of oppressive censorship. Any breach of this protection is a breach of international law.
So alright, y'all, we gonna talk about weaponizing anthropology. Alright, I shouldn't have to explain anthropology, but we gonna break everything down. Alright, so stay tuned and check this shit out. Yo, support Aboriginal Truth Media, motherfuckers. Is free, man. Stop fronting.
This is Biffington, Thurston III, reporting for Action News Network. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of weaponized anthropology? It is the militarization of historical relics and history itself by an adversary to manipulate an unknowing populace about their history in order to control them mentally by concealing true facts with a controlled farce. No people on earth have been affected moreover than the so-called African American, who really are the indigenous people of the Americas. One example is the modern use of the word African to describe all deeply melanated people of the world. What if I told you that Africa historically only applied to modern-day Tunisia, and Africanus is the Roman name for their conquered land of Carthage after Carthage fell to Rome after the Punic Wars? Before then, what we know as Africa was divided into regions such as Libya, Guinea and Ethiopia. Did you know that the Atlantic Ocean was once the Ethiopian Ocean due to having Ethiopian people on both sides of the now Atlantic? What about Tartaria? These are prime examples of weaponized anthropology. Now our homeboy Big Chief Action Jack will learn you in some knowledge. Ayo, Action Jack, kick it.
Alright, y'all, so dig this. You ever heard the Ethiopian Sea? I'm gonna show you how fake history is and how they change names of locations and seas and oceans and all this other shit. So if they changing names of shit and placing them, just like taking a name from a place, putting it on like a dart and just throwing that shit at a fucking map at the globe, alright? And this is also where etymology comes into. Because what does it mean to be an Ethiopian? Alright, and those is not just Ethiopian, it's Ethiopian. Alright? So the Ethiopic, Ethiopian Sea or Ocean, Latin, Ethiopiacum, Mare, or Oceanus, Ethiopia, Arabic, you know, whatever that says right there, was a name given to the southern half of the Atlantic Ocean in the classical geographic words. The name appears in maps from ancient times up until the turn of the 19th century. Alright? So, basically, you see right here, right? You got the Ethiopian Ocean. Alright? Alright. So, basically, you see right here, and I'm going to show you another picture of this, but this is the coast of West Africa. You see the Gold Coast, Ivory Coast, Grain Coast. They go Benin, where they tell you most of y'all niggas is from and shit. So it says, the original Greek term Okinos, Ethiopios, is the old name for what is now called South Atlantic Ocean. It is separated from the North Atlantic Ocean by a narrow region between Natal, Brazil, Monrovia, Liberia. Alright? The term Ethiopian Ocean appeared until the mid 19th century. For example, on the map, Acutissima, Totius, Africae, in Lucem Producta, engraved by Johann Baptist Humann and Frederick de Witt, and published by Jacob von Sandart in Nuremberg in 1702. The name Ethiopia was related to the fact that historically Africa west and south of Egypt was known as Ethiopia. All right. Nowadays, the classical use of the term has become obsolete. Okay. Also, the nation of Ethiopia, then known as Abyssinia, so that's what I was about to say. What we know as Ethiopia today is not Ethiopia, it's Abyssinia. It's located nowhere near the namesake body of water, but the opposite eastern end of Africa, which is much closer to the Indian Ocean, and its subset, the Red Sea. So, ancient Greek historians, Diodotus, whatever, I can't, Philaetus, mentioned that Gorgons lived in the Gorgades Islands in the Ethiopian Sea. The main island was called Cerna, and according to Henry T. Riley, these islands may correspond to the Cape Verde. Alright? So it says on 16th century maps, the name of the North Atlantic Ocean was Sinus Occidentalis, which means the eastern or the western ocean. Alright, while the Central Atlantic, southwest of present day Liberia, appeared as Sinus Atlanticus, and the Southern Atlantic as Mare Ethiopiacum. By the 17th century, John Seller divided the Atlantic Ocean into two parts by means of the equator. He named the northern portion Atlantic, Mar del North. That's not what Atlantic means. Atlantic is the ocean of the Atlanteans. And the southern part, Oceanus Ethiopius, in its Atlas Maritimus, published in 1672. Edward White did not label the North Atlantic at all, but called the southern portion, the portion south of the equator, Ethiopia Sea, in a map published posthumously in 1683. John Thornton used the term in a new map of the world from 1703. Decades after the term Ethiopian Ocean, Ethiopian Sea, has fallen into disuse to refer to the Southern Atlantic Ocean, botanist William Albert Setchell used the term the sea around a certain islands close to Antarctica. So, just a lot of weird shit, right? Real quick. When the Vatican split the world between Portuguese and Spanish as rewards for their loyalty to their loyalty, all right? So the Ethiopian Sea was owned by Portugal. That's why you have a lot of Portuguese colonies on that side of Brazil, most of Southern Africa. A lot of them colonies are Portuguese. I know you got Rio Tome e Principe, which is like an island nation off the coast from Equatorial Guinea and from Guinea itself. That's a Portuguese country. You got Equatorial Guinea in Spanish, which is like you in the middle of their territory and shit. Mozambique, Mozambique, motherfucking Madagascar, those are all Portuguese. You got the island of Rodriguez, the Seychelles, those are all Portuguese islands and shit. And then, you know, eventually the Dutch and shit took a lot of this area over here with the Dutch East Indies and shit. The Spanish, as you know, you got the Philippines up here, shit like that. This was basically considered the Spanish side. So that's why the west coast of America, basically from British Columbia into California Republic, into New Grenada, which is now like Texas, New Philippines, Texas, into Mexico. You got Panama right there, all the way down to South America. All this shit was the Spanish, with the exception of Brazil right here, which is under the domain of the Portuguese. You know, you see how this shit work, right? So you got a lot of these scholar ass bitch made niggas like, you know, your Garfields and your fucking, you know what I'm saying, your brother so and so's, and these niggas wanna, you know, these niggas go to college and they think that they, you know, ooh, the white man taught me how to fucking learn and shit. So, you know, whatever I say is right. And niggas always talk down on you, but y'all niggas love giving them niggas money, supporting them, buying them niggas DVDs and shit to be lied to and shit. But niggas that lie to you, oh, you was mesmerized by those motherfuckers and shit. I'm gonna show you how they lying to you and shit too. So, we all Africans, we Africans in Africa, and the motherland and shit, man. Shut the fuck up, yo. Look at this right here. This is etymology online, right? So, Africa, now, right? Latin, Africa, terra, which means African land, Libya, you know what I'm saying? And you will see how Africa's always been Libya and Ethiopia. There's no names for continents. All right, that's something that was created after colonialism. All the regions around the world were regions, and they all had regional names. All right, there was no Europa. Europa is a region of Eurasia, but you ain't had no Asia and all this other shit. Asia was basically, you had Persia, you had India, you had Carthage, and you had Tartaria. Right, that was Asia. All right, Asia Minor, Asia Major. Right, then you had Libya. Then I believe there was a sea where the Sahara Desert is at. So you had Libya separated from what was known as Ethiopia, which was where the sub-Saharan Africans basically were living. Alright? And I don't know, there ain't much going on in Ethiopia at the time. Most of the shit you hear about coming from so-called Africa is actually Libya. Alright? And I'm going to prove it right now. Africa as a continent, feminine of adjective, Africus, from Afur, in African, a word of uncertain origin. So it's telling you right here, an African, a word of uncertain origin. They know what origin it is. They just don't want to tell you they made this shit up. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't want to tell you, just like Ethiopia, they moved what Ethiopia was and made it into a small country that was Abyssinia, to hide Abyssinia's history as one of the only major powers in Africa, right? Or in Libya, or Ethiopia. All right, the region of Ethiopia, not the country. All right, the Latin word was used only in reference to the region around modern Tunisia. It was gradually extended to the whole continent. A derivation of the Phoenician cognate of Arabic, afar, dust, earth is tempting. The Middle English word was Afrique or Afrique. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't speak no Middle English. So then you gotta ask yourself, what is an Ethiopian, or really what is an Ethiop, right? So now, late 14th century, but really it's been used way before then. You know what I'm saying? Even though sometimes I really be thinking about these dates right here, because really that one is not really there. It's really the 4th century, right? So late 14th century, the Latin Ethiops, Ethiopian Negro from Greek Ethiops, long supposed in popular etymology to be from a thing, to burn, plus ops, face. Compare Ethiops, fiery looking, later sunburnt. Home to the Homeric, really the Hamitic. I don't know why I got Homeric, but Homeric because of Homer, I guess, from Greece. He was the first person in Greece to really give a name to these people, these sub-Saharan Africans, as the Ethiopians. Right, is a matter of doubt. This poet elsewhere speaks of 2 divisions of them. Did you hear that? 2 divisions of them. Don't we hear this a lot? You had the 3 Indias. Prester John, was over, presumed over an area, but it wasn't just Ethiopia here. There was many Ethiopias and shit. And then you see the Ethiopian Sea, and you see like on both sides of the Ethiopian Sea would have to be black people, right? Because why would they call it Ethiopian Sea if only one side of it was black people, right? You see what I'm getting at here? One dwelling near the rising sun. Where does the sun rise from? It rises. Where the sun rises from? Just ask yourself that question. The other near the setting of the sun. All right. So you have people in the west and the east. All right. They call Japan the land of the rising sun, right? So if you're in the Ethiopian Ocean, which means the ocean of those who are burnt-faced people, right? And they say, well, there was 2 Ethiopias, and there's an ocean in between 2 lands. What does that say to you? It says that the Ethiopia, was just a place where there's burnt-faced people or dark-skinned people, right? And they must have the both exist in Americas and in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay? There's no fucking debate about that. I don't want to hear no debate about that shit. Tell me I'm wrong. Two divisions of them. One fell near the rising, the other near the setting of the sun. Now, if you both in one fucking area, how can you be two divisions, one in the rising and one in the setting? You know what I'm saying? There has to be a large area of space, a vast area of space in between those two, for you to give such a dramatic fucking detail of where these people live. Alright? Both have it in brown vestiges from their proximity to that luminary. You see how they try to trick you? Now a nigga might read this shit, be like, having both brown vestiges and shit. You don't even know what the fuck that go right over your head. It means they both have brown appearance from the proximity to that luminary. The luminary means sun. That's how I'm telling you. You gotta look at Albert Pike, man. When the nigga said if the blacks have to learn how to fucking be educated or whatever, and they let them learn how to pronounce words, speak them, and can identify them, but don't let them learn how to read and understand those words. Because a lot of niggas don't even know luminary. You know the word lumen is in there, luminaire. You know, in Spanish, luz. You know, like Andaluz, the light. You know what I'm saying? And both leading a blissful existence. Because living amid a flood of light. So light beings, man. And as a natural commitment of a blissful existence, blameless and pure, free from every kind of moral defilement, our ancestors were living in bliss. Alright? And yes, we are connected to the Africans, the Ethiopians on the other side. We are connected to them because we all the firstborn. But we have to take pride in being from here, from America. This is where the fuck we from. Everybody's telling you this, but y'all niggas ain't really hearing. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because black people are some soft ass fucking pussies, and everybody knows that. You could bang your chest all you want and shit, but you know what I'm saying? If I step on your kicks, you ready to blow my head off. But fucking the white boys in blue come after your ass, you run like a bitch. Yo, fucking do 100 on the highway to get away from them motherfuckers, right? But let niggas step on your sneakers. That same nigga will be ready to blow that nigga away. They don't want to run away when the cops come. You gonna blow that nigga away for stepping on your sneakers? You can blow them white boys away for coming after your ass. Cause you're a pussy. And saying, oh, we're African from Africa. Africa's a long fucking weird place away. Black people love the bullshit and say what they gonna do and never do it. Oh yeah, we need to get together. This, that, that. None of y'all niggas ever fucking, even if they give you a ticket to go to Africa, 99% of y'all niggas wouldn't even go. Because the niggas are telling you from Africa don't even be in Africa. I respect the nigga who's in Africa. Like that Yahoo nigga, whatever the fuck that is, searching for Yahoo nigga. At least that nigga be in Africa. You know what I'm saying? The nigga look African too. He might be African. You know what I'm saying? I don't doubt that there ain't no Africans here. You know what I'm saying? That came here, and shit. But my nigga, at least I respect that nigga. At least that nigga in Africa and shit. You got Brother Jabari and all these bitch ass niggas. Them niggas be in Harlem and shit. Them niggas be in fucking Atlanta and shit. Them niggas be in Chicago and shit, telling you about Africa. We need to get back to Africa. Them niggas got the money to go to Africa. They ain't gonna be there. That should tell you something. The Africans don't even want to be in Africa, nigga. Real quick, how many of y'all knew there was a slave Bible? And are a lot of y'all Christians still reading the slave Bible? It's very interesting right here, right? So it says, you see this shit, it says select parts of the Holy Bible. Select parts of the Holy Bible. Select parts, right? We all know the Bible is distorted. There's shit added on, shit taken out, even though Yahuwah said, you should not add or take from his words or from the holy text, right? So it says select parts of the Holy Bible it's kind of hard to see what it says right there, for the something like that, Negro slaves of the British West Indies. Alright, and when is this? 1807. Even though it looks like it almost says 1907, like they distorted the fuck out of that shit. But whatever, let's say it's 1807, alright? Even though I'm kind of suspicious. Why is shit acting up for? Alright. Sorry about that. A slave Bible is a Bible specifically edited to serve for enslaved Christians. They were produced in England in the early 19th century for use in the British West Indies when they were colonies of the British Empire. And the British West Indies, or, well, it says British West India Islands, right? But West Indies is basically just all America. So if this Bible wasn't just used in Jamaica and those other places, it was used in the colonies too, in the 13 colonies. All right. Such Bible had all references to freedom and escape from slavery exercise, while passages encouraging obedience and submission was emphasized. This right here should be proof to any fucking Christians, especially black Aboriginal Christians, that the whole religion of Christianity is basically there to pacify you and to keep you enslaved mentally. Not you're not chattel slave, right? It says the Museum of the Bible during the 2018 exhibition called The Slave Bible, Let the Story Be Told, exhibited an example from 1807 called Parts of the Holy Bible selected for the use of Negro slaves in the British West India Islands. British missionaries used that Bible in the education and conversion of enslaved people. The editors cut 90% of the Old Testament and 50% of the New Testament. Among excluded passages are Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all in one Christ Jesus. Which was thought to possibly incite rebellion. Alright? Because it basically says no one's above another. But see, a slave can't know that they're supposed to be free. And this is something that I think today, a lot of black people are scared to do things. They're scared to venture out. They're scared to have business ventures. They're scared to network. They're scared to progress. Because you feel like everybody else is above you, when in actuality it's the opposite. I keep telling you, they tell you to look up, you need to look down. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not. Passages like Ephesians 6:5, servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear, trembling, and singleness of the heart, as unto Christ were kept. The Bible was this Bible was one of the 3 copies of this version and owned by Fisk University. It was printed by Law and Gilbert of London for the Society of the Conversion of Negro Slaves. All right. So, according to general consensus history, as black folk, you know what I'm saying, we all come from Africa. And not even just all of Africa, we just come from sub-Saharan Africa, which puts us in a very small region of the world. All right? A very small region of the world. We're only a regional people. We're not a global people. We are supposedly just sub-Saharan Africans. And any person who's black across the world is either there's some excuse for them being dark-skinned. These people, they're not really black. They're just dark-skinned because they live in hot climates. Even though, sub-Saharan Africa is a hot climate or whatever. Bullshit. Because they were Negroes in cold climates, including Europe, all right? And they didn't come there from somewhere else. And they didn't come here from somewhere else. I'm going to break down to a T why this right here, the slave shit is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Number one, I have doubts on the printing capacity of what they can do at this time. This shit looks very old, but it might not be that old. This shit probably was made in the early 1900s. Alright? And they made it to seem like it's really fucking old and shit. Because I only think they've been trying to tell us that we're African for about 80 years now. Alright? There's no proof of them saying anything about being from Africa 100 years ago. Unless it's been changed. And we know that Obama and everybody else is trying to change Negro on fucking birth certificates. And they make it seem, and the shit that's so fucking pissed me off about this shit is they make it seem like it's like, oh, because the word Negro is, I'd rather be a Negro than be black. I'll tell you that right now. I'd rather be a Negro than be black. Because Negro is not a word in English. So it describes the fucking people and shit. Black means deaf, dark, dim-witted, your absence of light, you know what I'm saying? Which means absence of thought. So let's really look at this shit. Supposedly one of your ancestors lived like that. It could have been nigga right here in the middle. This could have been your grandma right here, some shit. You know what I'm saying? Your great grandma. Look at this nigga right here. He's chilling on a barrel. You know what I'm saying? You think this nigga right here lasted like 2.5 months in sea, cramped up on this barrel right here. Number 2, where are the bathrooms at in the ship? You see a storeroom, and just slaves all throughout this bitch. Alright? Where do you keep these people from fucking... Where they pissing shit at? Where do they pissing shit at? That's what I want to know. Somebody explain to me where they pissing shit at. This dude pissed this and shit. Where's it go? D. You see D right there? If that nigga pissed, where's it go? It goes down to this motherfucker right here. If he shits, it lays on him and lays on this person right here. It's bad enough to wallow in your own piss and shit, but could you imagine being this motherfucker down here? Alright? And this is where it all collects at too, right? So right here, these motherfuckers right down here are getting the worst. So my thing is, they 300 motherfuckers and shit, right? Because, they're not going to all make it. So whatever. So just put your thinking caps on this shit. Wouldn't it be easier if you gonna put 300 people on here for maybe about 50 of them to survive the whole journey, right? And those 50 people are gonna be fucked up because they was cramped in these sand conditions and shit. They're not gonna be okay. Get up, crack the whip and shit. Like let's go fucking start picking cotton and shit, right? So I'm gonna prove to you medically why you cannot fucking be in a ship for 3 months, cramped up like this, and survive it. To be this hard-working slave and shit, to have generations of people living right afterwards and shit, right? To continue on your legacy and your lineage. You know, if they really back the ship like this up, all these motherfuckers would die. Dysentery. And I'm gonna show you exactly how. Remember, this is the 1700s. They niggas didn't have no food, no nothing. You think the amount of food they could put in these 2 storerooms and shit like that is gonna feed people plus the crew? And plus, you gotta be a really weak motherfucker to say you descended for some people where 300 of them could be wrapped up and chained and bound and shit, right? For 30 white men, the fucking less than that, like 20 white men to fucking ship you across the sea and shit, right? So when you call yourself an ADOS, you call yourself a bitch ass nigga because you came from a bunch of bitch ass niggas that couldn't defend themselves. That let like 10 white men come and round them all up and fucking put them on a ship and shit. I don't want to be a part of that shit. See, y'all niggas want to be descendants of this right here, this fake lie and shit, then go ahead. That's y'all niggas. That's what you want to do. That's y'all. All right. Y'all want to be descendants of this bitch ass shit right here? Go ahead. Cause these niggas, if this really happened, this would be some bitch ass shit, and I would not want to associate myself with that. And your whole mentality and the way that we act as a people is basically because of this shit right here. Because y'all niggas really think that this is where you came from. You really think this is where you came from? Let's really get into this shit. Real quick. Has anybody ever heard dysentery? Huh? Has anybody ever heard dysentery? Or incontinence? This happens in a lot of nursing homes and hospitals and shit. Especially when the patients and stuff are not being taken care of. Incontinence associated dermatitis, a clinical manifestation of moisture associated skin damage. It's a common consideration in patients with fecal and urinary incontinence. Alright? So these are people in hospitals and nursing homes and shit that, they can't control their bowel function. So they usually piss this shit on themselves. Alright? The same way if you was chained up in a tight ass ship with 300 motherfuckers and shit, they can't move, they can't take you anywhere and shit. If you have to go to the bathroom, they're not going to stop and take you to the bathroom. When you got 100 other motherfuckers, you got to go to the bathroom and shit. There ain't no bathroom on the goddamn ship. These motherfuckers is pissing in buckets and tossing it over the thing and shit. They're not going to come around to 300 people, alright, with buckets all day. They're not going to do it. It's just with the amount of people they have and shit on them shits, there's not enough manpower to do that. And then they not even caring about these slaves like that. Alright? So, among hospital patients, the prevalence rate has been found to be as high as 27%. It's pretty high. Alright? So, let's do this. see this picture right here? Damn, I can't zoom in on it, but you see this picture right here? This motherfucker, I wish that is Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest shit got the fucking way. Okay, look at the motherfucking skin on this motherfucker and shit. This is what a slave would look like in one of them ships. This is the heel, the foot, and all that shit. You see how it's pussing, you green, it's gangrening and all that shit and stuff. That's from pissing and shitting on yourself, and letting it sit and sitting in it. This is what happens. It's called a peri-wound maceration. Maceration. A peri-wound maceration. Alright? So it's coming down to here. It causes peristomal moisture associated dermatitis. Alright? And it says exposure to urine or stool, sweat, wound drainage, or other sources of water, such as while bathing or swimming. As parts of pouching process, solid skin barriers are placed around the stoma to protect the underlying skin from dermatitis components of the stoma output, urine, or stool. These barriers work to keep the skin dry by absorbing both effluent from the stoma and moisture from the underlying skin. Alright? Nasty shit right there. It says leakage of stomal effluent onto the peristomal skin will cause inflammation and even skin erosion depending on the placement of the stoma. Liquid and enzyme content varies along the length of the intestines. And maceration, which is marked by whitening and softening peristomal skin, which is also common in cases where moisture is trapped. Alright, under the skin barrier, and the skin becomes occluded. The affected area may itch or be sore to the touch. And this motherfucker's supposed to get up and start picking cotton through them. You know how hard cotton is, or picking tobacco. You know that shit gets on your skin and shit. And you know, like when you just picking tobacco and shit. I live in North Carolina and shit. When you picking the tobacco and shit, if you ever got a chance to touch tobacco, pick it. It almost burns your skin if you do it for a long period of time. All right, that's that nicotine shit in there, and also fucking you'll get the nicotine out of it. It'll absorb into your skin. That's why they don't allow children to really do that shit anymore. Incontinence associated dermatitis. Alright? Incontinence associated dermatitis, IAD, is predominantly a chemical irritation resulting from urine or stool coming in contact with the skin. Ammonia from urine and enzymes from stool can disrupt the acid mantle of the skin and eventually cause the skin to break down. As with other forms of MASD discussed above, maceration also plays a key role in the formation of IAD and can make the skin more susceptible to friction damage. While urinary incontinence may lead to IAD, it is much more common in individuals with fecal incontinence or mixed urinary and fecal incontinence. The affected area will present with I'm horrible with medical terms. I believe the correct name is erythema, as well as emaciation. The area may progress to painful partial thickness erosion with weepy, serious exudate. If left untreated, pressure and friction may increase stress on the affected area, leading to skin breakdown. Depending on the areas exposed to urine and stool, IAD is not necessarily limited to the perineal area and can extend up onto the lower back or down onto the neck. This shit is nasty, man. So, one more, I think. This one's called intertriginous dermatitis. All right, intertriginous dermatitis, ITA, also referred to intertrigo, results from sweat being trapped in skin folds with minimal air circulation. When the sweat is not able to evaporate, the stratum corneum becomes overly hydrated and emaciated, facilitating friction damage that is often mirrored on both sides of the fold. This in turn leads to inflammation and denudation of the skin, making the area more prone to infection. ITD typically affects infants because of their exaggerated skin folds and stooped posture. Obese individuals, and in the case of ITD, affected in the webbing between the toes, active individuals that wear closed toe or tight fitting shoes. All right, so you see all of this shit. This is not no bullshit. All right, this is serious shit. I asked again, all of you ADOS motherfuckers and all you. I'm a slave. We slaves. We special. We slaves. Yeah, you special, alright. You real special. You believe that your ancestors come on. The joke's on you. You don't realize niggas is laughing at you. You don't believe niggas is laughing at you. I show you all the time how gullible our people are as a people. This whole Nipsey Hussle shit is just a blatant reminder of how gullible our people are. Alright? And they can still believe that you came from this. These niggas is pissing shit on each other. There's no way in hell 20, less than that. Sometimes there's only 10 niggas on this ship, 10 white men on the ship. We're not taking these guys to go piss and shit. You know what I'm saying? Here's another role. There's multiple roles of this. They wasn't doing all this shit. These people were pissing and shitting on each other. They would fucking die in their own piss and shit. You did not come from this. Nobody can survive this. I mean, it's almost romanticized that you think that you came from this shit. There's no way in hell 300 people can survive on a slave ship without emaciation. I dare you to find the records. There's no records of this. You just have a bunch of white people lying to you about your history. Because they want your land, they want everything, they want to be you. And if you don't believe me, look at all the white rappers you got nowadays. They always want to be you. But they want you to be somebody else.